Okay. Hey guys, how's it going? Twigs here. And today we're going to be doing we're not going to go as far as other people have gone. Well, let me put it this way. We're going to maybe go further in the discussion with Gorou, his kit, his play style, his role in team comps. I want to ask a different question than what other content creators have been talking about or asking. And that is there a place for a full realistic Geo Comp? Right now we got Gorou. Well, we're going to get Gorou in about a week. And from what I've seen, we got potentially a really strong character. He's actually impressed me. When I saw Girl's Kid, well, when I saw Girls in the live stream where he was revealed, I saw a character that had potential, but I was worried. I was worried that he was going to be limited like Chung Yun is, where Chung Yun is limited to mostly cryo comps, but he doesn't offer too much. Whereas Gorou here actually has a lot to offer. So let me just give you a quick rundown. I know that you guys have seen probably other rundowns on his kit. I'm going to try to be brief here. His skill is one Geo character being himself. You will always get the defense bonus. With two Geo characters, you're going to get resistance to interruption. Pretty cool. With three Geo characters, you're going to get a Geo damage buff. And this will all scale as you level up the talent itself. But it will be a nice buff for each one of those things. More notably, the defense buff and the Geo damage buff. With the burst, the ult, you are going to get all of that from the skill, but you will also get crystal collapse. Crystal collapses like Albedo's skill every 1.5 seconds on a singular target. And as you run around and pick up crystals, the neat thing is you don't have to run around and pick up those crystals. The little doggy thing will magnetically pull them toward you. So you don't have to actually run around and get them. They'll just be pulled right toward you. First talent buffs all party members' defense by 25% for 12 seconds. And Gorou gets a damage bonus to his attack, 156 of defense toward skill, 15.6% of defense toward the crystal collapses on his ult. So far, this is a character that really loves his defense. Just very similar to Albedo, especially on C2 Albedo. So you kind of get an idea what you need to build toward on Gorou with this, with what he's got going on. C1, it reduces the cooldown on skill. C2 increases the duration is extended when you picked up an elemental shard, buff skill, but this is where I really want to hop onto. The C4 and the C6 are really good. C4 allows Gorou to offer more, especially C4 and C6 offer more and add more versatility to Gorou. C4 makes Gorou a healer. If you have at the very minimum 2 Geo characters, it will heal characters within General's Glory, which is the ult, by 50% of Gorou's defense every 1.5 seconds. That's not bad at all. And then C6, for 12 seconds after using the skill or the ult, increases the crit damage of all party members and Geo damage based on the amount of Geo characters in the team. So if you have 1, that's a 10% bonus to crit damage and Geo damage. 20%, and then 40% at max 3 Geo characters. So, again, Gorou is going to be offering Geo damage bonuses. Well, we're talking C6 here. At C0, you got someone that's buffing Geo damage, giving you a resistance buff, and a defense buff. At C4, you are getting a healer. At C6, you are getting a bigger Geo damage buff and a crit damage buff. Gorou brings a lot to the table, and that brings me to my next point, my next discussion point, which is where. Let me rephrase. Are we at a point where we may be looking at a actual realistic Geo damage meta? And maybe not a meta, but a viable team composition consisting of just Geo damage, like just Geo characters. And that's an interesting talking point, because with Gorou, that puts that conversation on the table. Gorou, if we're going to be realistic here, and we're going to think about maybe a potential Geo character composition, a Geo Comp, Gorou is going to be a keystone in that team. And then the next characters you're going to be looking at is obviously Zhongli. Zhongli is one of the best characters in the game, and he is arguably the best Geo character on the team. Then other viable characters are going to be Albedo. Albedo is going to definitely work well with Gorou with the whole defense buff. Because if you got an Albedo that's like focused on the skill, Albedo is going to love Gorou. And if you got a C2 Albedo, he's going to love Gorou even more, because now that defense buff that Gorou's given is not going to just buff his skill, but with C2, you're buffing Albedo's ult. And then other good characters is Ning Wang. Ning Wang's going to love the Geo damage buff, and if you have a C6 Gorou, she's going to love the crit damage buff from C6. Ning Wang will definitely work well with Gorou. And then we have another character that's on the horizon with Ito, just like Gorou. They're on the same banner. From what we know, Ito scales on defense. So Ito's going to love Gorou as well. I think there is a place for potentially a Geo Comp, because Gorou's going to be doing potentially. Let me put it this way. Gorou is potentially the Geo Bennett, and I mean that especially with C4 and C6. The only difference here is that Gorou has a usable C6, whereas Bennett has a terrible C6. And the reason I say that is look at what Bennett does. He buffs attack and he heals. And Bennett doesn't just buff attack, he jacks up your attack if you have a well-built Bennett. Gorou here, again, buffs resistance, buffs defense, buffs geo damage, and with C4 he heals. At C6 he buffs crit damage. That's a lot of buffs. And that's going to be, and again, the only problem here is that Gorou was kind of limited to just Geo Comps. But if you were going to run a Geo Comp, he's the keystone of the team. So let me stop talking here. I'll stop talking. One thing I want to point out before I stop talking, because I got to point this out. On this test run, Gorou's got Favonius Warbow, which is going to go well with his ult because his ult is a kind of pricey ult. And he's running Noblesse Oblige because my Hoyo for some reason loves Noblesse Oblige. So here we go.
There you are, eavesdropper.
Alright, so let's start off by praising the skill. I eventually got blown up before I did that. Alright. Alright, here we go. With the defense buff that Gorou just gave, we've already jacked up our albedo to 2,600 defense. Now I was around 2,100 defense before this. So albedo just got a really gigantic defense buff. Let's see that Geo now. He had this fucking energy. There we go.
Witness my great undertaking.
19k. It instantly annihilated that dude. Now notice that I put the skill down.
Press the advantage.
When you activate his ult, that takes the skill away because the ult pretty much does everything the skill does, but just a tiny bit more.
Solidify.
Alright, let's rip him away. Where is it going? Okay.
Gather. Pull in. Roast and fry. Feel this ancient power.
Alright, we need to take care of you because I didn't bring a Hydro character to take care of you. But why would you need that when you have an Ayaka that's probably one of the best Ayakas in the game? Alright, pop this. Pop this. Alright, let's see. 17k.
Everyone on me.
20 something thousand. Oh man. Oh dude, if they didn't have their shields on, that'd be even more nutty. Oh god. 80,000.
It's all fun and games until the real Fatui show up, huh?
Man.
That little interruption has really ruined the mood for me. Let's not do any more Fatui.
That interruption did not ruin the mood for me. So that's a glimpse of what Gorou can do for a Geo Comp. If notice that he had the Noblesse Oblige set. It's not a bad artifact set, but you could do better with a different artifact set. That being a different artifact set would be the Husk set. So what you get for the Husk set, which recently came out with 2.3, is with 2-piece, you get a flat 30% defense buff. With 4-piece, every few seconds, you're going to be buffing. Every time you're doing geo damage, every few seconds, you're going to get a buff defense, and you're going to get a minor buff to geo damage. And that'll stack up to about 4 times, and that'll be max. So you're going to be looking at not on top of the flat 30%, you're going to be getting more defense and more geo damage on top of what you're already giving. So keep in mind, every time Gorou's buffing himself with the 4-piece Husk set, that's more stats that he's going to be passing on. That's more of a buff he's going to be passing on to your other Geo characters and some of your other characters in your team. That's going to be what's going to make Gorou good. Is that he's already good by himself. He's got a terrible artifact set on right now. But if you put a 4-piece Husk on him, that's where he's going to really start to pop off. So that's why I got to ask the question. Are we on the precipice of a viable Geo Comp team? And I think there's a possibility of it. I think right now with Gorou and Ito coming out, and don't forget, Yunjin is right down the road too. That's going to be another Geo character. So we may be somewhere with Geo teams. So I think we may be onto something with Geo teams. And like I said, Gorou is going to be the keystone. So let me know what you guys think. If you guys think differently, let me know. Tell me why. If you guys agree with me, tell me your thoughts. Tell me why you agree with me. And hell, show your support by hitting that like button. And if you're interested in my content and you want to see more of it, hit that subscribe button and you'll be informed whenever I upload anything, especially if you hit the notification bell. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll catch you guys later.